Hello everyone, welcome back to another video with Cloud Adoption Solutions. My name is Malik and today we're going to be going over field utilization and field retirement, deprecation, whatever you want to call it. Now, this is something that every Salesforce administrator, Salesforce admin, Salesforce person deals with the setup of their Salesforce org. You run into fields that you need to get rid of because you have after time you build up so many fields in your org from creating new things and not deprecating old ones at the right time that you have a backlog of just underutilized or fields that just take up a lot of space and aren't being used. So today we're going to go over what tool you can use to help you identify fields that you can clean up, how to identify the correct fields that you can clean up, and then lastly, what's the best way to go about cleaning up those fields. So as you can see on my screen, I have Field Spy open. Field Spy is a similar field to like Field Trip, if some of you have heard of that tool before. There's also another tool that I use called Elements Cloud, and a third tool that I use, but I think, or most people probably use, but is getting deprecated, is Salesforce Optimizer. Optimizer was a really great tool to use to help you analyze your org, but Salesforce is actually scheduling it for retirement. So it's best to use another tool that is going to be around for a while to help you analyze your field usage in your org. So I recommend Field Spy. I just found it on the AppExchange. So if you need to know what it looks like, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Field Spy. So this is what it looks like, and it's free, so you don't have to pay anything for it. You can just go ahead and download it and install it in your org. Okay, so Field Spy uses the fields on an object and also the records on an object, and it compares the population or how many of those records have those specific fields filled out. So a good example, you would come in here once you download the app and install it and everything. You would come in here and then you would find it in your app launcher, and then you select the object that you want to take a look at. So since this is my developer org, I only have a few objects with a bunch of custom fields and also a few records as well. I already did an analysis on the opportunity object, but I'm going to do an analysis on the account object. So you select the object from the list here, add it to your object analyzer, and then I want to see if I can get, maybe I should do leads. I want to see if I can get an object with more than a few records on it. Nope. Okay, so you add those to this object analyzer and then you click Analyze Now, Accounts and Leads. And you can schedule this to run, or you can also set it to run like right now, as I'm going to do right now. But you can schedule this to run if you want to have a ongoing process of cleanup as you do development in your org. So if you want to schedule this to run every week or every 6 months, you can do something like that so that you are able to stay on top of your fields. So after this would run, you would get something that looks like this down here, which will open up another view for you to see exactly what the field utilization looks like for certain fields in the org. Now, Field Spy does tell you if it is a custom field or if it is a standard field with this column here, and then it tells you the percentage of records that have that specific field filled out. So on my opportunities, I only have 82% of the account ID filled out on them. And then for like this campaign ID, I have none of those. I have on all the records in this org, there are no fields with a campaign ID filled out on it. Thank you. So yeah, you can see that of the 48 records in my org, I have 5 records of those 48 where the contact ID is filled out. And then You can also see in Field Spy some weird things that might have been done and were just never cleaned up. Like I have a contact lookup field, but we already have a lookup field to the contact object. So I may have just been playing around and created a new one for no reason. But with this, you can easily identify those fields that may look weird or have no real place and easy point them out, highlight them, and figure out if you want to delete them or remove them. So a good way to further analyze this and have a good idea of where you're going to keep and where you're going to remove is to export this into Excel. So you would just click the export button here, and that you can use this CSV, or you can use the CSV, and upload this into a Google Sheet doc or Excel doc. You would import it with this feature here, and then you would get what we're looking at right now. So after you export it and import it into a sheet, you can then go ahead and highlight the specific fields that you believe you want to remove from your org. So if we, like, say, wanted to remove these fields here. Okay. Now we know we have the API names of those fields that we can go ahead and delete, and we can go and find them in setup for the opportunity object. Opportunity. Oh, it's good to point out. So standard fields, the fields without the underscore C, you obviously won't be able to delete those fields. So okay, so we have entered proposal, and it just seems like a field that I never really use. I may have just been playing around with what a date time field looks like in the org. But if we were to bring it up here, and then you can go ahead and select delete, and then you can delete it from your org like that. And obviously, it seems like this field is more involved than I actually knew. And this also is a good time to bring up that when deciding which fields to delete, you should also look at where those fields are being used with that where is this used button. And I see I have a stage tracker flow that is utilizing this field. So I'm actually going to leave this field alone for the sake of the video, and we can select something else. Test date. Where is this used? All right, so if it's being used in like a layout or a report type, those will not impact it from being deleted from the org. So let's go ahead and click delete. Okay, so if we go to deleted fields here, we see that the field that I just deleted is here, and you have, like it says up here, 15 days to undo any deletions before Salesforce gets rid of the field altogether. And if you do undelete it and that field has some data in it, Salesforce will restore that data from the field that you undeleted. So this is really more just so a holding stage to make sure that you're really sure that you want to get rid of the field before it's actually deleted from your instance's existence. Now, things to take into consideration when deleting fields. I already ran into one of them, which is to check where the fields are being used before deleting them. You want to make sure that those fields aren't being used in some kind of automation or Apex class, or even a email template that your team might be utilizing that field for. Even if it's not on the page layout, it may be used somewhere on the back end, and you need to make sure that where it's being used on the back end isn't going to impact anything before you delete it. Third, you want to make sure that you want to check the created date for those fields that you highlighted. That's why we put it in an Excel sheet, because we want to mark the fields where the percentages are low. Yeah, we want to mark the fields where the percentages are low. So like this field tracking number is only at 19%. if we were to make sure, or if we were to go look at that field tracking number, so this field is only filled out 19% of across all the records in this org. But this field was also created in 2023 by me, and it has no information, and there is no like indicator of what this field actually does. If we check where this field is used, it says that this field is used in a layout, a report type, and a web link. Web link for what exactly? I'm not sure. Okay, so it seems like I used this field in some type of button before. But you want to check the field created date for when the field was created, because it's going to be more than likely, if you have created a new field within the past couple of weeks or the past month, the percentages filled out for that field, for like newer fields specifically, will be lower than fields that have been around for years and years. So you really only want to delete fields that were created maybe over a year ago or something like that. So fields that are over a year ago and have a really low percentage population are fields that you want to identify as fields that you want to delete. It's also important to take into account there are some fields that might not always need to be filled in, but are crucial to still be on page layout. So a field like, if you have something that is to indicate like this opportunity needs to be rushed, or a specific record needs to be expedited, a field that is like supposed to be used as an a field that is supposed to be used as an expediting field won't always be filled in as well, because not everything in your org should be expedited. Only those fields or only those records that meet that specific scenario should have that kind of expedited checkbox or something or the other checked on it. So it's important to know your processes and take into account where you might experience, or it's important to take into account what fields you might be coming across where their population value might be low, specifically because these fields are only used for specific use cases and not just for the day-to-day activities of users in your org. And with that, I think that's all we really have. You want to make sure to use this to keep your clutter in your org really low, because as a admin and even as an end user, to see a page layout with a bunch of fields filled on it and those fields don't really pertain to anything that you're doing, it slows you down and slows down the efficiency of the work that your users in the org can be doing. So thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to reach out to Cloud Adoption Solutions for any of your Salesforce needs, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.